Hello and welcome to the Rangers Rabble podcast. It's Jamie here, and we are doing a live pre-match line-up reaction. We've done it before for the Old Firm. It went down a treat, so we're going to do it. The team lines are out. We'll just call them out in a wee sec. But tonight I'm joined by John. How are you feeling, John?
Better than you. We're only doing this to try and get Jamie over the line for the last hour because I think otherwise his therapist was on hold. So we're only here to try and keep Jamie company and keep him calm.
I know. I've been an absolute nightmare. Guys, how are you?
I'm not bad, but that is very minute to minute at the moment. Most of the day I've been okay, but the last few hours has been up and down.
There's somebody that's probably just as bad as me, Elaine, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. I think honestly, if you enjoy these games, there's something wrong with you. I don't enjoy any minute of it even if you're winning, until the whistle goes at the end. I find it absolute torture. So especially midweek at the end of the day as well. It's a long day.
Just hello and welcome everybody in the comments. We're just going to do it. This is going to be really quick, folks. We all want to just get this done, have a little chat, go and just sit down and relax. Have a beer. I'm having a beer. We'll get ready for this. So, hello and welcome everybody in the comments. We'll maybe throw a few comments in, but take a deep breath, everybody. I think we'll go with the starting lineups. I don't think there was too much surprises. So, Rangers line up with McGregor, Tav, Borna, Goldson and Bassey. Then we've got Kamara, Arfield and Aribo. And then we've got Kent, Diallo and Roofe. John, straight to you, mate. Reaction to the starting lineup.
Happy Roofe's available. Wasn't sure what his situation was going to be. I think I'd said previously I felt Sakala was going to start because Roofe hadn't done more than half an hour in the last few weeks. So I was surprised at that, but that's good to know that he's in for the one-off. Balogun was the only other question we had, whether it was Balogun or Bassey. It's a shame Ballison didn't make it because I think Balogun in a game like this, they're still suspect at set plays. It doesn't seem to have mattered the change in manager. The set plays are still a weakness for us, for them, and still one of our biggest strengths. So I'm kind of gutted Balogun's missing for that because I don't think Bassey goal now, carries quite the same threat from corners, but everything else is pretty much confident. I'm pretty comfortable that we've got the strongest team out now.
Elaine, do you agree? Strongest team out?
Yeah, it's probably what I would have picked. I think I don't think Roofe will do the full 90. I think we'll probably see Sakala coming on as a definite later on, which is probably playing to Sakala's strengths as well. A burst of energy maybe last 30 minutes or whatever. But I agree. I'm quite happy that Bassey is in there. I know that Balogun did really well in the first Old Firm game of the season. We'll wait and see. I think it would have been slightly harsh maybe to take Bassey out, and it's probably the team that I would have gone for. And I know a couple of people after his mistakes at the weekend were questioning McGregor. I don't think that was ever really, the goal was ever going to change.
Guys, do you agree? We're happy with the team, and that was a thing we said off air there. Our bench looks pretty good as well. And I know the bench can come on and impact it, but it's to do with the 11 on the field, but still it's looking strong.
It is. We've got Jack in there. Davis is in there as well, which is good. Obviously the one Sakala, he's the one coming off the bench in the last 30 minutes to hopefully run them ragged when they tire out, as they seem to always do. So hopefully.
I wonder if Lowry will get chucked in. He's in the bench. Big game, but I wonder if he's done well so far. So I wonder if they'll chuck him in.
One man, John, that's starting instead of Lowry is Joe Aribo. I had to look for his name there. I'm that nervous. It's Joe Aribo. He's the main man this season. He's been our best player, hands down. Massive game. This could be the night for Joe, couldn't it?
Yeah, he's got to be the key man. He's got to be the key man for us. I think there's other areas of the pitch whereby we're probably looking at one of our players winning the battle. But Joe Aribo up against Celtic. Celtic are really missing that whole midfielder. Hatati's in. He's not played an Old Firm before. Celtic have 6 Old Firm debutants from their lineup against our one. People like Joe Aribo, Glenn Kamara, Scott Arfield who have played this game need to be on top form. Joe Aribo needs to find those pockets behind the midfield. And we need to make sure that the key one for me is Arfield following McGregor. Yeah. He's been the only surprise for me in their lineup. That I think if McGregor was out of their lineup, I'd be 100% confident of victory here. I think he's the only span on the works. So Arfield needs to make sure he is on top of him. Anytime he gets near the ball, Arfield is near him. Arfield's job is not going to be runs into the box tonight. I think it's making sure Callum McGregor is fucking silent.
Yes, and Falsey's saying battle fever on, guys, which we all agree. But just to back up what John's saying with Fog Dog, Gary, Arfield is crucial tonight.
Oh yeah, I think everybody, even before the Ross County game, was saying that Arfield should be in this game no matter what. Yeah, he's got to follow McGregor around, maybe even leave a wee sly one on him, because he only came back training yesterday, and from what I heard, it was meant to be a substantial injury. Can't have been that substantial if he's in the team tonight.
It's a Old Frim night, Elaine. There's always wee games getting played like that in the build-up. Nobody's expecting McGregor to be playing. All of a sudden, he's there. This is what happens.
Yeah. Oh, no, absolutely. I mean, on the flip side, half of our Twitter were trying to make out that Alfie was in a plane back, or or that Ramsey was going to, despite Gio saying that Ramsey was going to sneak in there, I think they were always going to be too big asks. And that's the thing, because there was, a few rumours kicking about as well that Kyogo might sneak into there. Maybe not starting 11, but their team. Who knows? Is it a gamble? Need to sort of wait and see. But I would think if it was a fractured cheekbone or eye socket, throwing him in for the game, that's a gamble to me. But we'll wait and see.
John, what I don't think is a gamble is playing Diallo. I think he's obviously coming from Man United on what he is. Does this make your mouth water too, like it does with Alfredo's?
See, early on, that's exactly where I would be going to. I think Juranovic, for all Kent, has always turned up in Old Firm. Juranovic is a much better player.
100%.
So Greg Taylor on their side. Diallo, I only watched the highlights. I was busy on Saturday, so I've only seen highlights, but he looked very, very efficient on the ball. What I would like to see early on is him going at Taylor. It's no rocket science football. Diallo's faster than Taylor. That's the weak spot. That's where you go to. In the hope that if you beat him a couple of times, you drag Jota further back to help double up and protect against Tavernier coming. The amount of work we can get Jota doing following Tavernier instead of Tavernier following Jota, the happier and calmer we will all be for 90 minutes, I reckon. So if we can get Diallo the ball, get him driving at Taylor, maybe strike a little bit of fear and make sure Tavernier is still covering him behind, I think that's where the key battle is on that side. It has to be. They can't realistically, if they're looking at their team, they're probably worried that Taylor is that weakest link in that side.
John, you mentioned Jota, and I think Scott might not thank me for putting that up there, but I'm going to say I agree with his sentiments there. I totally agree. But Gary, I don't know if you've seen much of the lad Jota. I watch all the SPL games, so I've seen him. The guy is a good player, and probably looking at their starting 11, he's the biggest one that shines out as a worry. We go into these games worried, of course we do. Does he worry you guys?
I've not seen much. I don't watch Celtic. I only see any highlights that are on Sky Sports News and listening to all the Celtic fans at work. So he sounds like a decent player. I think someone put was it you, JD, that put out rumoured league teams, and Jota was in it. He was probably the only one in it that worried me, just based on what I hear about people. But John's making the point about keeping Jota back. So a lot of it, I think, is going to come up to our fullbacks as well. If the further they can get forward up the park, the more inclined that their wingers are going to stay up the park or back of the park in their terms. So I think we need to go 100% out tonight and just keep them up there.
Elaine, we spoke about this just before we came on as well, about the style of play and what's going to happen. And I think it's widely thought that we might need to weather the storm here for the first 20, 30, maybe 45. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think I can agree with Gary in the sense that I've not watched a lot of Celtic games. I've got pals that are Celtic fans that and that post things that I'll see, but I don't watch a lot of their games, so I don't really know what their strengths and weaknesses are. But it does seem as if they come out pretty strong, and certainly from some of our games, it can take us a while to get going. Obviously, that is totally thrown out the window by the weekend there, where we started well and finished terribly, and they finished well. But just as a rule of thumb, I would think if they come out strong, if we can weather that storm, and if we can just build into the game. I would quite like us as well not to be passive. I think we need to be pressing. We need to be in the front foot. We can't invite that pressure on. That's what gives me the fear a wee bit, is when we set off people, because when we are dictating play, it's so much easier, and we can play some really nice stuff. It's when we sit back and we invite the pressure on, we sit deeper and deeper. And I think as long as we can kind of get through that first wee spell and build momentum, then hopefully, I'm trying to convince myself here, hopefully we can get a result.
I've been up and down all day. I woke up with the battle fever on, and it's just slowly regressed as the days went on and the closer the kickoff's coming. That's just natural. You get worried, John. One man that's probably not hit the heights yet, but always turns up in these fixtures is Ryan Kent.
Yeah, that's exactly it, mate. He's a big game player. He came up to Rangers to try and shine, and although it's really disrespectful, you can see when you've turned it on in Old Firm games and turned it on in European nights why you maybe don't get up for Ross County away. It's just par for the course. It's what happened at Advocaat's side in the third season under Advocaat, is people did get that hangover. They really did. It's understandable with players when you're playing at that level. This is the game he turns up in. This is what he likes. This is what he enjoys, because he knows this is realistically the type of games and type of highlights that are going to get him the move that he wants to the English Premier League. So for as long as he's here tormenting Celtic, this is something he has to turn on for. Him and Barisic need to give him nightmares. I feel very comfortable with the lineup we have, but I think you hit the nail on the head there. See if we're level or even ahead, fingers crossed, at the hour, we'll go on and win the game. If we're level at 60 minutes, we go win the game. Jota's got 60, 65 minutes in him. He tired. I know he set up the goal, but he was knackered. He's still recovering. That's it. Ryan Kent needs to make his claim today, because he has been up and down. But this is the game that he normally turns up in, especially at Parkhead. He's been phenomenal every time he's played at Parkhead.
Gary John saying there, almost we could be on level terms, even just ahead. And with the last half hour, we really need to then impose ourselves in the game. My prediction is that not to get, I've got an absolute cheek here saying nobody panic, right? Not to panic if we're 1 down. My other prediction is even if we're 2 down, the last half hour's key where we should really come back in it, because the talk is Celtic blow a gasket.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wouldn't quite go as far as 2-0, but definitely 1. I'll be quite confident. We tend to play quite well and against teams that play football against us when we go 1-0 down. In the terms of Kent, we spoke about Kent last night on the pod, and we were all pretty much in agreement. Kent didn't get used pretty well in the first half at Ross County, and he had a pretty good second half against Ross County. So, and like John's saying, he's a big name player and he loves to play against Celtic. So hopefully we've got the Kent from the last few seasons tonight.
Elaine, was Alan McGregor always going to start even before Gio came out and told us he was? Was it ever in doubt?
No. Do you know what? I think you can look to that game and you can look to the Hearts game as 2 games where we've dropped 4 points off the back of mistakes that come from him. I mean, the 3 goals at the weekend were a bit of a disaster, but by the same token, you don't, go to the start of the season when we chopped and changed our goalie every other game. I think you stick with your goalie. All the players made mistakes running up to that last goal.
Yeah.
And on Saturday, it was Saturday. Running up to the last goal, you could dissect it down to several players that made mistakes, but it's McGregor's that obviously ends up being catastrophic. I don't think that really there was any doubt that he would start the game, and I think it probably he's a big game player as well, and he knows exactly what it means. I think that's the thing as well. Just touching on what you were saying about them having 6 debutants for the Old Firm, our players know what it means, and there are so many in that team that have kind of been round the block. I don't think you take McGregor out for a game like this.
John, it's I'll go back to you on that. Over 6 debutants in the Celtic team, and I've said, we've said this before. It's been nearly 2 years. It was over 700 odd days since Celtic beat Rangers, and a lot of people are pushing back me and saying, yeah, but not this Celtic team. There's different players here. This isn't the Neil Lennon or the Brendan Rodgers or whatever, the Neil Lennon team. That's a different Celtic team, so they don't perhaps have that mental block about playing Rangers, although their captain certainly does.
Yeah, and we've not seen these players. Like, it's all well and good saying Matt O'Reilly's a nobody. He's came from the same division we get Joe Rebo from, so
Exactly.
I'll be very careful and reserved in what I say about players that I've not seen play yet. Hitati looks like a decent technical player. Old Firm's totally different. When Gerrard first came up here, we lost our first game 1-0 to a Rodgers goal. That was because we had so many debutants playing their Old Firm game, and look how they've came on. The first game's always going to be a different tell. I just hope that we're in their faces enough to kind of impose what experience we've gathered from the last umpteen years. Because I mean, last year was a strolling Old Firms, and a depleted Rangers side won that Old Firm from a set piece early on in the season. I just think that's going to be vital for us.
I think what else is vital, Elaine, is Barisic and Tav. They've not been given the licence to roam forward and go bombing under Gio. It's a lot more reserved, but they perhaps will have a lot more defending to do. So we're going to get and Celtic score a lot of goals from out wide, cutbacks, crossing into the box recently, front posts. Got a bit of defending to do and really prove that that's their top game as well as going forward.
I think that's why I was saying, you know, we can't invite the pressure on because as much as you know, last season we were brilliant, we're suspect at the back, and we know that, and there are mistakes being made. That's probably the area that I would be more concerned about, is just keeping it tight. As you said, especially early on. I know that I'm kind of repeating myself. I've not seen a lot of Celtic play, so I'll agree with you in terms of what you're saying. But I mean, the thing is with Old Firm games is that there will be periods of time where we're both, you know, one team's on top and it'll flip. We just need to weather the storm, but they are going to have to defend, and we're going to have to do it as a team as well. We're going to have to all get stuck into it, and as I say, just make sure that we're not inviting them on too much.
There's no away fans, guys. So you've got a lot of young boys here playing for Celtic who have came from League Two, have came from the other side of the world. They may perhaps not have seen, and I know it's a 50,000 support, but that can still make you nervous. Mainstream media all day has been very pro-Celtic. Is Ali Quinn right that the pressure's on them, perhaps?
Oh yeah, well they're the ones that have. If they lose tonight, they go 5 points behind. I said that last night. Everybody's talking about them going 1 point ahead. Why is no one talking about us going 5 points in front? So I don't forget, if they're nervous, then they put the disco lights on as well. That might make them a bit more nervous. So I'm not nervous. I'm shitting myself probably more than anything.
John, there's one man that I thought would have started tonight, but he hasn't. But he's going to have. We all agree, or you definitely agree, he's going to have a big impact in this game in the last 30 minutes. Is Fashion Sakala.
If we get that far, we need him. I think he's slowly been showing elements of his game that are really improving.
So close.
One thing he needs is that first touch. See when he gets going, he's absolutely fine, but his first touch has been missing so many times. I don't know. I don't know if it's a game for him, to be honest. I think we really need that focal point. And I think Roofe, I'm happy that Roofe's got that. Ideally, Itten would have came back here and been on some sort of form, but he just hasn't done it yet, and the confidence is completely shot. Sakala's more likely to come on in a wide area for me. I honestly fear that Itten's going to end up coming on. One of the things I think we've not looked at is Ken. I remember the game that Ken gets sent off. He played a false 9 role for most of that game and tore them to shreds that day before he then decided to go leather Scott Brown. I think that's you could move Sakala, you could move Kent and let him be a false 9 as well if you needed to change the game or just give us something to see out the 90 minutes. I like Sakala. I still think there's so many things that he's trained out his game just now. I think Sakala is going to be somebody that will be huge for us in a year's time. I just think tonight's going to be a different game. We need the experienced heads. Like I keep mentioning, they've got their 6 debutants in Old Firm games. I think we need to probably have the same. This could be a game that I really could see us, Roofe aside, not changing too much as the game goes on, unless we need to chase something.
John's saying Roofe might be the only change, Elaine. Do you agree with that?
It all depends. No, I think with Gio, I think unfortunately, I think if we've got a lead, I think he'll go to try and protect it. which is possibly
Don't say him. Don't say it. Don't say that name.
Ryan Jack will bring on.
Yeah, I'll
Which,
take that.
or Stephen Davis. Unfortunately, I think that if we're protecting something, he probably brings Lundstrom on.
No, James Sands is there as well, Gary, and I think John Lundstrom's becoming to us what Aaron Ramsey was to the elderly when he played with Arsenal. Every time Aaron Ramsey scored a goal, some poor person passed away. Every time John Lundstrom comes on to protect the lead for Rangers, we can see that goal.
Yeah.
I'm superstitious. I believe in this kind of thing.
I'm superstitious as well. That's why it annoys me that this is a Wednesday night, because I've got a routine on a Sunday morning for these games, and it's completely out the window tonight.
You drinking at your work this morning?
If I could, I would. But no, I think I'm pretty much convinced that I'm not a Lundstrom fan now at all. You know, and I definitely wouldn't bring him on tonight. It's got to be Jack or Davis. I'd probably be inclined to go Jack myself.
I think it's a big ask, John, for Ryan Jack. He's lucky for Ryan Jack. I think he's featured in 2 games, probably about 30 minutes in both games in the last 12, 13 months, something like
that. It's a weird one. I mean, in light of getting prepared for this and having a look at the starting lineups for each team to prepare, it's totally gone unnoticed to me. I didn't realise Stephen Davis was even on the bench until I've just looked and you guys have said it there. That's a huge lift for us. Stephen Davis, if he's available, he must be fit and healthy, because he would not have been thrown in at his age. There's a couple of things here. Somebody like Ryan Jack, I don't think you throw him in. I think he's only somebody you throw in just now when you're comfortable. Nobody wants to drop points in these games, but there is so long to go. It's why Ramsey's not been pushed into this squad.
Yeah.
There is so long to go. Yeah, it'll bring a bit of a swing if they manage to nick a win here, but this title's got so many weeks to go. So many, 15 games to go after this? 14 to go after this. This has got so much to go. We need to be careful with Ryan Jack, careful with Ramsey. Steve Davis, however, if he's back in that squad, Steve Davis must be 100% ready to go. Because it doesn't seem like somebody would be chucked in there for the sake of it. That's really that's calmed me down a little bit, especially if we're trying to see out and need a bit of composure in the game. I think Steve Davis would be my go-to in that.
Mm-hmm.
I think Gary John probably calmed us all down by saying that, because I hadn't thought. I'd seen Davis' name, I just hadn't even thought about it. Imagine being able to bring him on the last 20 minutes. If you're just, I'm not saying try to protect the lead, but he's an absolute maestro on the ball.
Yeah, he's made for these games. Him and Kamara are usually so dominant in these games at stopping their midfield. So if Davis had been fit for maybe the last month, we'd probably be talking about him starting. Listening to John there, I'll change my mind on Jack, and it's going to be Davis going back in the last 20 minutes.
Okay.
So the mind changes every minute at the moment. So
no. When my shins start to sweat, that's when I know I've gone. And my shins are sweating. It's the most randomest thing. Elaine, I'm going to wrap it up, because I think we're just waffling a lot of rubbish now. And everybody looks like they're other than John, who's always fucking calm. Everyone's like a rabbit going to headlights here. So I don't like this at all. But this was done to me in the last one. But what's your hope? I don't want to say the word prediction. What's your hope?
My hope is that we absolutely destroy them.
I thought that's a lot of shit.
Days. What's your prediction? What's my prediction? 2-0.
2-0? Sacrilege. Don't say, folk, that's what I said earlier anyway. I said we'll be down 2-0. We'll draw it back to 2-0. John, what's your thoughts, mate?
I think we'll win. I think we'll score via a corner or a free kick crossed into the box. I think that's how we win this game. It'll be the same as the game at Ibrox. It'll be very tight. I don't expect to be too many chances for us created an open play. I really think it's Tavernier, Bassey's delivery, and it's Connor Goldson. Connor Goldson's the main man. See if Connor Goldson converted even 50% of his chances he gets on the end for corners, he'd be the top scorer in the league. The guy doesn't seem to direct it anywhere near, but he's got previous at Parkhead. Helander, I said it before that Old Firm as well. I felt like the best way to get an Ange Postecoglou side wasn't us playing a normal football. I felt we had to be more rigid, more defensive, and it was going to come for set plays. And it did that day, and I think it'll be the same today. We keep them quiet. We take advantage of our set plays. I really think that's where our goal's coming from, and I think we'll win.
Gary, Wilfred just said there, go at them from the start. What's your prediction, mate? But before that, are we really going to go at them or be able to go at them with the tempo they play from the start with their 50,000 behind them?
I don't see why we can't. I said that last night. they're not used to teams going at them from the start. You know, they could get a bit of a shock if we were right in their faces right from the get-go. My prediction doesn't change from last night either. That's the one thing over the last 24 hours that hasn't changed. I'm still going 2-1 with Kent to score first.
Well,
See,
the
before you
lucky
wrap
thing
it
is, sorry, Elaine.
Just before you wrap it up, who takes our inevitable penalty?
Don't even go there. John, who takes our penalty? I know who he's going to say.
James Tavernier.
Oh, has to be Roofe.
I'm not.
Roofe
I'd rather
scares
Tav hit it.
Jeremy when he's running up.
Oh yeah,
James-
with the two sets. Both the Tav's penalties against in the cup were suspect.
All
James
joking
Tav-
aside, John, is Tav a hitter here if Roofe starts?
Yeah, James Tavernier passed up an Old Frim penalty in a critical time and it fucked us in a cup
Yeah.
final. James Tavernier's got the armband. James Tavernier takes that ball and scores that inevitable penalty.
He
And Bobby
scores
Mann
it.
gives us one.
Gary, you're nodding. Do you agree with that?
It's got to be Tab. Got to be Tab. 100%. Like I say, even like just for the sheer fact, my nerves couldn't handle a Roofe run up.
Oh no, he's right. You're absolutely right. My shins can't get any wetter.
What
Never
run
mind
up?
that. Listen, we're talking about having a pen. I'll take getting a pen at some point. I'll take anything we can get tonight. I'd take an. Who's the ref?
Bobby
Is it
Mann.
John?
Beaten.
Is
Oh,
it
Madden.
John?
It's Madden.
Oh,
It's
is it
Madden.
Madden?
It's Madden.
All right.
Yeah, it's Madden.
Fucking John Beaton's
That's my
not
worry with Bobby Madden. He's done a wee bit of press and stuff like that. Likes to go on open goal. I worry that Bobby Madden's getting swayed because of the pressure that's been on him with being a Rangers fan. Yeah. Okay, folks. I want everybody to have a good night tonight. Please stay safe and don't bite anything at Twitter if anything happens. I've got a cheek. But just thanks for watching. We are back after the game, of course. Alan's going to be on hosting the match reaction. So hopefully everybody joins us. John, a big thank you, mate. Have a good next couple of hours, bud.
Right, see you later.
And Gary, you too, mate.
Cheers, man.
Elaine, we'll see what happens, eh?
We've got this. Absolutely. Enjoy.
Thanks for everybody for watching. I appreciate everybody for watching. Thank you, folks.
See you again.